Hey guys, what's going on? This is the Comics Meltdown Bouncecast, and my name is Akintoba Kalejayi. Today we have loads of people around to talk to us, to gist, to abuse each other in the words of Nuru. But first things first, let me introduce my fellow hosts. Nuru, what's going on, bro?
I'm good, man.
Nuru is the almighty admin of Niger Nerds and also a host on another show, Nerds from Work. So you guys can check out his website, can also check out the other show that he hosts. Honestly, these guys do really, really good work. Moving on to the second host, it's Mobalaji Moore, the biggest Batman fan. Guy, wait. The biggest Batman fan that I have met in my life. This guy will not allow us to rest. Just before we started this podcast, he was already trying to sell Batman to us over Black Panther. But we will get to that as this cast goes on. So, Bolaji, what's going on, bro?
I'm good. We'll get to that. I'm ready.
you know the funniest thing, before I move on with introductions, the one we did last, the Bouncecast we did last, and so we had a topic about Batman, and everybody on the Meltdown was talking about how it was just three guys against one, and how Moore kind of held down the fort for the DCGs, and he was on that post flexing and feeling like, yeah, I held down.
yeah. Like the last man, I swear, I was really.
No, but when we start talking Batman, Moore is enough for like 8 people. It's just that.
Honestly, bro.
I don't think it was even fair to us. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So moving on to the other guys that are joining us today, we have Olawale Ajao, a member of the Comics Meltdown. Wale, what's going on, bro? Ozo is a member of Comic Republic. He's also the creator and writer and artist for Eru the comic. He has done a couple of other projects, but when we get to that topic, obviously we're going to, he's going to have his say. He's going to talk to us about what he's doing with Eru, what he's doing with Ajay, and all the other projects that he's working on. He's really here. We want to talk to him about African comics. Oz, what's going on, bro?
Oh, hi, I'm good. How's everybody?
Yeah, great to have you. Thanks for joining us today. I know taking time out of your busy schedule, I know that's a big favor, but thank you for coming on the Bouncecast. And now to the biggest Thor fan in the house, one of the hosts of the Bouncecast, who has just joined up. One of the reasons that I personally like the fact that Dakpo is one of the hosts is because he's one of the few guys who can rival Thor. Who can rival Moore when it comes to being a fan, So when these guys, when they kind of start their thing, we just leave them alone and we just sit back and just allow them to do their thing. Dapo, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, guys. Nice to be on the call. Okay. By the way, Moore is in a league of his own. Nobody can rival Moore.
I want to mention something that before he came along, I was really worried about me being the only bald person on the group. Everyone had a cap, had hair, and stuff like that. So I'm happy he's joined us now.
Okay. Okay. So moving on. The topics that we have for today are race switching in comics live productions, as is movies and series, the good and the bad. We also have African comics that are good reads. We have is Michael Bendis a good idea for DC Comics? Batman and Black Panther, who would actually win in a battle? And lastly, Marvel and Netflix, the demise of superhero live TV series. So first things first, we're going to take off with race switching in comics live productions. And basically what this topic is about is the fact that when they transcend from comics, that is from print, into live productions, into movies and series, you usually find out that sometimes certain characters are switched out from their native native races and changed into other races. So for example, we have Domino in Deadpool, we have possibly Zendaya, that is Mary Jane in Spiderman, we have Baron Modo in Doctor Strange, who each of these are traditionally Caucasians in the comics that they come from. But by the time they transcended into live productions, you'd find out that they are black. They were played by black actors. So that's really what this topic is about. Is it good? Is it bad? Or the good and the bad? So we're going to take the responses from Nuru, So more to Dapo, to Oz, and then to Wale when he joins up. Okay, great. Nuru, so what do you think about race switching in live productions?
We have to answer a very important question first of all. Is Zendaya black?
I think she's isn't she... Okay, fair enough. I think she's half. I think she is black and
No, I'm reading Trevor Noah's book Born a Crime, where he talks about the fact about in South Africa how they split everybody up according to black, colored, and they went even further than just this binary where you're white or black, even though
Okay.
you look like you're white or you're whatever. But that's a separate point. Race switching from comics to screen. The rationale behind it for me has always been, does it matter if it affects the character or not? And then also sometimes you have to admit there's unique exceptions. Like when Nick Fury appeared on screen, people were like, "Oh, they've changed him from white to black," but in truth, there was a Ultimate Universe version of Nick Fury who was black, who also for some reason was made to look like Samuel L. Jackson from the get-go. And so as it happened, Samuel L. Jackson was still alive and kicking and ready to take prisoners, so they asked him and he took the role. So for me, race switching itself, in and of itself, as a response to generations of white people who have been the prime drivers of the industry for decades, basically drawing and acting as if the only race that existed were white people, inadvertently and in some cases deliberately. This was a response to that. They had to find ways to be more representative of reality. They had to find ways to be more representative of culture. You walk out the door in any country, you're going to, well, except for Africa as a whole, but if you walk out up the door in America, which is where a lot of the stuff has been produced, you're not going to see just white people. So it made no sense. So as a result of that, you've got people like Baramodo eventually being handed the role. You have people like Domino being switched as well, and many more are happening. Now, granted, there's obviously a political element to it, but it's a worthy political element, so I don't have an issue with it. Having said that, I personally am against them taking it to some extremes. Like I've seen cases where there's been calls for Michael B. Jordan to play Superman. I'm like, are you guys high? Or something. That to me is like that to me is an extreme, unless you were to do a version where he plays a version of an alternate universe version of Superman. But even then, so he's playing a version of Superman, not the traditional Earth 1 Superman. Right, but even then that's dangerous because aside the fans, who knows Valzad? Who knows that much of the mythology? He's not really popular character. Right. Before you go and explain that this is actually a legitimate character, you'll have created the firestorm you can't quench ever. There'll be like this wave of negative publicity for the movie, but you make great points all around, Nuru. Moving to more, what do you think about race switching in comics? Seeing as this topic was actually your idea.
Oh yes, so the reason why I want to bring this up is that I think there are different layers to it, and it honestly depends on what layer you're looking at. I like it. I believe that when the comic characters are created, half wasn't diverse. Even until the 1980s, all of the Justice League.
More, we can't hear you. You've just trailed off.
Okay. So even until the 1970s, 80s, if you look at the Justice League, the entire Jim Lee art and the entire Justice League was white. You don't have to shoe in Cyborg so that someone who looks like us is there. And you know that Cyborg is traditionally not a member of the Justice League, right?
Right.
And the fan base of comics is diverse. Chinese, black, we're all black here. We all love comics. I mean, that guy loves Thor. So So if we have that, then we want some form of representation, but not tokenism. There's a difference, right? If you put a black guy for those black guy reasons, you understand? It seems haphazard for me. But
No, you didn't see what I just did.
I saw
the Mjolnir. I saw it. But in the movies, traditionally, it's all worked. All of it has worked. Even the black guy in Asgard worked. For crying out loud, they put Idris Elba in Asgard and it worked. They put a black Domino and it worked. The only time it didn't work was a different type of race which is called whitewash. that's when they put a white guy as Iron Fist, and everybody hated it. You know, it seems that okay, they have enough of characters already. You don't have to whitewash the few, Asian characters they have. And I know that.
Bro, Danny Rand is a white guy. Danny Rand actually was a white guy in the comics.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, he was. He
is. He says. He is.
But here's the thing, there was a move. I saw the controversy, and you cannot ignore that you didn't see that.
No, that's the point. The issue is anything that touches on Asian culture. Anything that touches on Asian culture, people just assume that it used to be a chance to put an Asian person in there, and that's not the case in this particular instance. Another thing you'll notice is that the guys who are making these decisions, they tend to be very cautious. Sometimes they try to make it a minor character or a character who is not as well known or as beloved. Yeah. Like making a race switch with a character as well beloved is a little bit more of a safer play. A supporting character like Mordo or a villain. That's what it's not as But if you start switching the race of the main character in that person's story, that tends to create issues. But on the issue of fighting,
here's the thing. Yeah. I agree almost 100% with that. But I believe that as long as it's done with taste, it's done properly. Even if they don't cross certain minority characters, like I don't see them race switching Storm or Black Panther anytime soon. Right?
Well, who's the arbiter of race? I mean, of taste. Who decides what's tasteful? That's the problem.
Yeah, but if you have only 10 or 5%, you shouldn't go and take from those 10 or 5% already. That has, I mean, you can't race switch Storm no matter what. You can't race switch Black Panther. They would kill you. But I'm honestly of the opinion that an alien can be any color. So Superman is an alien from Krypton. You can imagine him as black. You can imagine
kind of like Titans, right?
I disagree with Superman for one simple reason. Superman's story is that he grew up, he was raised by a family in the Midwest, and didn't stand out.
Guess what?
It's not exactly possible for a black superhero.
They are black in Kansas even now.
Listen, you're missing the point. The point is, if you have one black,
your mic is off.
If you're gonna have the one black guy who's flying around doing superheroic things in Kansas City, and you tell me no one did figure it out, wait a second, where's that Kent kid? Nah, small town.
To be honest, it's more black. If Superman was black, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, it's a whole different story.
The whole cultural impact of that is a whole different story. You can't just ignore blackness.
They put it in the modern day. I don't think they put it in slavery era or in the 1950s. But
he still grew up in modern day.
Modern day. Point. Being black is not the norm in America. So his race would be core to how he interacts with people,
especially in small Midwestern towns.
You can't take that away. So in a way, the Superman one, I tend to agree. You can't shoot a race.
I agree with the basic premise that aliens can be represented by almost any race. Yeah. I agree with that for sure, 100%. I just don't think Superman's about it. I don't think it's a good example of that.
Yeah,
personally.
Okay, fair enough. You need to wrap up. So let you wrap up.
Okay, in wrapping up, the only where I see a problem with it is the comic characters. When you just switch straight away, it only works a couple of times, but sometimes it's actually tasteless and flashless when I see it. I like Miles Morales; it was fine. But when you start saying, creating a Pakistani Miss Marvel just for the sake of I want to have a diverse class, create something new. There's enough space.
That was new, bro. That was new. Miss Marvel was new.
Was there nothing white?
Sorry, was Miss Marvel old?
No, we are talking about Miss Marvel.
She's new. Her power, Miss Marvel is new. Her power set's new. Her race, Pakistani superhero was new. Hello.
No. Wait. Are you saying that there was no
that part of Mo out before he's seen as racist?
Mo, was there not a Miss Marvel before her?
Let me explain.
Yeah, now that's Carol Danvers, the correct.
No, hold up. The name was irrelevant. The power set was very different. The person.
But you use the same. So are you saying that it's not switching if you change the power set?
It's not switching.
No, it's not switching. It's a completely new character.
New person shows up.
It's a brand new person, different name, different origin. It's got nothing to do.
Monica Rambeau was the first film.
If I change the Superman and give Superman a Superman S and make his power
Hold up.
how I make him
Hold on,
black.
hold on,
So
hold
he's a
on.
different
More.
character.
Race switching means you change the person's race, not that you've changed the title, giving the title to somebody with a different
Yeah.
race. It's different.
Now you've taken a character and changed it.
Okay,
into
let's use
someone-
Captain Marvel. Monica Rambeau
No,
is the
no,
first one.
Use the Robins. Use the Robins.
she's
That's the
black.
best example. Use the Robins. That's the best example.
Yeah.
Is Tim Drake the same as Dick
As,
Grayson?
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Here's the thing now. When in comic character, what I do, and I'm sure, is that sometimes when you want to evolve a character, right? You change the name, you change the power set. I mean, with the Flashes, you know, there was Wally Walsh, there was Barry Allen, and they just changed it, right? It didn't stop it. Now, if I made a black,
Okay, there was a black Wally West for a while there. He's right.
yeah. So I mean,
No, and that to me is that's what I'm going to rage about. That's the worst example of race switching that exists in comic. The Flash one.
What me I prefer is create something new, create a new character. I would have really been nice if okay, we have Blue Marvel already. Spawn was fantastic. Spawn was able to do it, and it was created in the 1990s. So what I feel is that create new characters as well. Don't swap.
More. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think there's a reason for that. The thing is, if they start creating a new character, there's a possibility that it might go unnoticed. So what they try to do is use an already established character's name, to give it some level of visibility. So if they create, let's say they turn Falcon into Captain America, people are already latched onto the Captain America title. So from there, they can notice this black character. But if they just went on with Falcon, it might get buried under. So they just use it to give it that visibility. So,
Okay, more.
I think that's
Let's just move quickly to Darkwall. Darkwall, what do you think about race switching in live productions?
Right. So my instinctive reaction to it always is no. That's always my initial instinctive reaction.
Okay.
I do. And the reason why I say that is, and I say this to a lot. I said every character that exists in comic is somebody else's favorite character.
Fair enough.
Now, I might watch Superman and I see Perry White and it's a black guy. To me, personally, I don't care. It's Perry White. Whether it's black or white, doesn't really bug me. But I'm sure there's one guy sat in his corner who's a big Perry White fan, and I can imagine his reaction to that. So I'm always kind of reluctant, but I do see it works in some areas. I always prefer what you guys have been saying: create a new character. That's what I always say. Superman is white. You got Val Sword.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. We've got Peter Parker. We've got Miles Morales. No issue. Flash. What they did with Flash was one of the worst things ever.
Yeah, so that's Wally West.
Yeah. So they didn't create a new character. They just literally took the same character, Wally West, and they said, "Oh, he's now black." That's one of the laziest things. And
they did it with Iris as well. So.
Well, that's just lazy, right?
Not in the comics. So
no, I'm talking about in the TV series.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, but to be honest, you could now blame that on the comics because in the comics, once you've made Wally West black,
yeah,
his
then it makes sense that Iris is also black as well.
So now the comics have gone back on that.
Yes, they've gone back on that. They brought back the old Wally West.
Yeah. So they kind of split them up. Say, oh no, sorry, this is now a different character.
They just acted as if the black Wally West does not exist. He's just gone.
No, he's there. But they've changed the name now. So he's Wallace West. And it's a whole mess.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
That's genius right there. Wallace West.
That change was as jarring as if suddenly, as we're talking, we just see Wale Ajao just becomes, Wallace.
Yeah.
Wallace.
It's terrible.
So just change to a white guy next to us. I'm like, Kilo Shele, what's good? Ow. That makes no sense.
So
that would explain the fedora hat.
Please continue.
Please go ahead. Yeah, sorry. So I do think that big main characters should ideally retain their original race, especially when the race is actually core to how the character came about. That Danny Rand example you gave, more actually is an example of where him being white was actually part of the story. he was white in an Asian setting, and he was like hated on, and he kind of succeeded despite
the
So you making him Asian almost removes half
of the stories that
of the story.
If I can retort, there's a Hollywood theme that people see as racist. It's called the white savior paradox, in which a white man goes to a native area, learns their ways, and saves them. And that was patronizing with that Danny Rand. So
does it better.
Or does it better? Dances with wolves, Avatar. Look at it. It just
So my response to that is, and what you just said is 100% accurate. Danny Rand is a great example of the white man savior. But if you're not happy with that, then don't do a Danny Rand film. Do a Shang-Chi film. You got a perfectly good Asian character. Do him then. Don't take Danny Rand and then make it Asian. You might as well ignore the character entirely.
Dapo is just like making a karate boy movie or TV series and then insisting he has to be white. It's kind of like, but karate boy is kind of an Asian guy in the comics. You know, that's kind of the point. Yeah. So, just buttressing your point.
No. So I've learned to get over my instinctive repulsion of people changing race. But I've always preferred generally, and I'm not talking just about the movies now, I'm talking about the comics. Okay. I would prefer you create a brand new character. Miss Marvel, your example, she's a brand new character. It's just like Henry Ross.
Kamala Khan is a completely new character.
She's taking the symbol and of a previously existing character to ride on that. Come in. Spawn is a brand new character. Miss Marvel. There's a Miss Marvel before, and another one.
No, stop.
No, hold up. Let's be clear.
The superhero name is not the character.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
As a character still exists, and she's still white.
Okay. I want to know where you draw the line. Miles Morales, is he a brand new character or not?
Yes, it's a brand new character.
He is now. He's a brand new character.
So that means the controversy on race switching wasn't there.
No,
there was never any controversy over race switching.
Really? Controversy with Miles Morales now.
Really, yes. Never. I could Google that one now.
Google it one. There was no controversy about race changed.
No, more. The only controversy you find is people who do not read the comic just saw a black guy as Spiderman.
Yeah, yes, and they assumed he was Peter Parker.
Okay. So Nick Fury as well. Is it race switching?
No,
they have different personalities, different looks. Where is the line you cross?
Can I answer that question?
What do you mean, where's the line?
Can I answer the question?
Answer the question.
Nick Fury was from a different universe. They created a whole new universe, a whole new storyline. And not only Nick Fury was changed, a lot of characters in that whole universe were different from the 616 universe.
Even Thor was completely different. It was like a different.
He was still blonde. He had an ass,
okay,
right?
Hold up. Now you're being facetious. Seriously.
No, wait. Miles Morales is the Ultimate Universe as well, right? Was in the Ultimate Universe?
Yes.
And you now say he's not different. I mean, he's a different character. While Nick Fury in the Ultimate Universe is race switching.
No,
yes.
Not race switching.
I'm not getting.
Hold up.
Bro, to be honest, he has the same name, but he's not the same as Nick Fury. The Nick Fury from the is still around.
No, slow down. You're confusing things. If you have the same name and you're supposed to be the same person, but for some reason, whether in a different universe or in this universe, your race is different, then the race has been switched. Using
the same real name, not the same comic, not the same superhero name. For instance, since it's Miles Morales,
we're talking about superhero names. Your superhero name is just something you wear. Your name. Batman is Batman. His name is Bruce Wayne. If you came up tomorrow and made a Bruce Wayne who was Asian, that would be weird.
Yeah, that would be really weird.
But if you made a Batman who was Asian,
if Batman was to find an Asian guy who was now wearing his costume while he was doing some other thing, that's not race switching.
Okay, so sorry guys, we are arguing on this a bit much. I'm going to cut out a bit of this. So let's just move over to Wale. Because time is running out and Nuru will have to go soon. So let's run through the topics as fast as we can.
Okay,
yeah, Wale, so what do you think?
Alright, so first of all, let's imagine we're living in a perfect world and race wasn't an issue. Nobody could see race. Your skin color was just as superficial as your eye color, your hair color, culturally and contextually. I don't see a big deal in any kind of race switching, whether changing the character or bringing a new character. Let's be frank. There are very many versions of Superman, right?
Yeah, many of them.
The idea that there are different universes is actually a new thing. The original Superman couldn't fly; he would leap buildings into all whatever. So there are many iterations of a character, and these iterations change with the times, inevitably. In a perfect world, I don't see any reason why race can't be one of those changes. Like Thor. Some people here really love Thor. They're used to a long-haired Thor, but you can cut off Thor's hair and give him a beard. That is a minor change. I'm bringing us back to our real world where race is a really serious hot button topic. That's a minor change. Cutting the guy's hair and giving him a beard, it doesn't change anything really. It's like the real Thor can always cut his hair anytime he wants and grow a beard, But some people are so fixated on their characters not changing that they might have a problem with Thor. In fact, some people have a problem with Superman not wearing his briefs. That's how some people are really held on to the appearance of their characters.
That's a travesty, by the way.
I'm okay with that.
So what'd you say?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So now something as fundamental as race, right? You can't change a character's race without fundamentally changing the story because of the world we live in. Like if Superman was raised by farmers in Kansas, he's white, so he blends in with everybody else. If you change Superman's race to black, then you have to change the story basically, because the reaction to, Superman was able to pass as these people's kids. Nobody asked any questions. Nobody was like, where did he come from? If he's black and they're white, you're going to ask questions. You might have to change Ma Kent to black. You might have to change where they live. You might have to move them to another maybe some south side city in the Bronx or something. So you're basically telling a different story. Now I am very open to the idea that these guys are not real. So you can tell all sorts of iterations. There's so many iterations of Dracula out there. There's so many iterations of Frankenstein. Somebody can come out with a 2000 Abraham Lincoln vampire killer. Somebody can come up with all sorts of iterations of a character. The important thing for me is the story good, right? I can even overlook the superficial reasons why you're changing characters. There are many reasons for changing a character. Sometimes you change a character just to appeal to a certain demographic. Sometimes you change a character because, okay, affirmative action. There are not enough black actors in movies. Let's find a role for a black person. Let's look for a character that will have the least blowback. Change the race so that we can have better representation of these people. But now, for some people, Superman is real. Superman is not just a fictional character anymore. Superman really exists in some part of our dimension. The guy really exists. The guy is getting a lot of people employed, right? So changing his race is like, changing somebody's uncle's race. That's going to be jarring to them. It's not necessarily about racism. You understand? But I implore us to overcome our racial issues. Let's as much as possible. It is a pipe dream, yes, but let's as much as possible just keep trying to relegate race.
PSA
to the superficial thing that it is. And let's also be open to multiple versions of a character. Now, back to Miles Morales. Miles Morales exists in a different universe, I guess, and he's definitely a different character. Nick Fury is the same name. They created a whole new universe for him. You understand? So, because the new Nick Fury exists and the old Nick Fury still exists, there's really no problem. Yeah. If they now said, okay, no, there's no more Nick Fury forever and ever is black. If they came out and said it officially that Nick Fury forever and ever is black, there's no white Nick Fury, then there will be a problem. It's like New Coke. New Coke came out, like, okay, we're replacing old Coke. Even though it tasted better, it was a PR and financial nightmare for these guys. So back to Nick Fury, guess what? guess what? They didn't have to officially erase the old Nick Fury. In fact, nobody has had to officially erase the Superman that can't fly. It still exists in some comics somewhere. But guess what? Right now, today, officially, as far as I'm concerned, Nick Fury is black. There's a huge generation of people that don't know about any white Nick Fury. That in fact, if they made a new movie 10 years from now, Nick Fury was white, there will be black lash.
Wait, ask your opinion on two things. One, where do you draw your arbitrary line on race switching? When I give the example of Miss Kamala Khan, do you believe that's race switching? Using a known brand and change the race and name to sell?
So you're mixing two things. There's one is the intent, the reason why they changed the race, and the one is the actual effect of changing the race. So you can change the race of a character for a very flimsy reason, and it looks all tacky, but down the line the stories just keep working. You understand? Maybe as a joke, somebody that looked like Samuel L. Jackson went to cosplay as Nick Fury, and Samuel L. Jackson make it bad as Nick Fury, and somebody envisaged Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, and it worked. It might have been a very stupid reason. So let's not mix up the reasons for changing race. Some of them are just really superficial. Oh, okay, we want to appease to these guys. Oh, let's just make that guy black so that black people shut up. You understand? There are very many. You understand? But there's also the story itself. Does it work in the story? Kamala Khan is, as far as I'm concerned, not the person she's replacing, and she's not really replacing because that person still exists. That person is about to appear in a movie that will make $1 billion. Who knows?
For me, I'm so sorry, Wale, to cut in.
Sure.
I have to move to Oz now, but for me, the race switch that annoyed me the most is a minor character, the Ancient One. When I saw it, I could not believe what I was seeing, and it really, really pissed me off.
No, I was okay with it.
No, I was not okay with it. It wasn't a necessary change. It was completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary.
And she looks weird. She's always weird. She's androgynous. So I like that Tilda Swinton weirdness. She's always weird.
Come on.
The fact that she's kinky and fits your idea of what's weird doesn't mean that making a character who is an Asian male, a white female, suddenly makes sense.
Were you guys angry with it? I wasn't angry with it.
No, I had a huge.
It doesn't necessarily make sense, and it doesn't necessarily make sense, and it's not necessarily fair. It's not necessarily fair, but somebody could decide, okay, this actor is the best role for this story we have. So what I'm trying to say is that, okay, the change itself might be stupid and daft, but the effect, you might actually have a good movie. And I'm open to all sorts of changes. Yes, I'm sad that, okay, some Asian actor didn't get his day in the sun. You understand? But I'm going to judge the movie on its own merit. I'm not going to judge the movie because, okay, some exec, shagging.
So, Toba, can I just make 2 quick points here? And it's more information than anything else. First of all, Mark Miller, who did the Nick Fury thing, he has a habit of when he draws characters to actually draw them as life characters. So he on purpose drew Nick Fury as Jackson. He done it again in Wanted. Wanted was Eminem. If you watch it, and the role that was meant to be Halle Berry. In the comic, he drew Halle Berry. So that's why it's a thing he does. I don't know why. So my second point. Oh, sorry. Right. So my second quick point. And now she's made me blank on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just move to Oz very quickly.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Oz, what do you think about race switching?
Well, to be honest, from all the points that I've heard, I think I have to agree with Wale's on 100%. I think he basically stole the words right out of my mouth. Although, concerning what Moore said about the Miss Marvel thingy, I think that's a totally different ballgame entirely. Like I said before, that case they're just using an established title to sell another character. It's not race switching exactly. But concerning race switching, I agree with what Moore said. Yeah, I agree with what Moore said. If we can ride on the story, if it's successful, maybe we can stick with that. But like he also pointed out, there are people that have grown up with these characters, and when you change a character's race, it influences where they're from, it influences everything, like the whole Superman being black in Kansas. You have to change it to adapt to the race. It's a totally different story. So are people ready to get comfortable with that. And again, you have to also understand that you're building a merchandise that people will follow, and that's why they tend to keep everything the same. Superman's attitude tends to be the same in the mainstream comics that you're trying to produce. In alternate universes, they can change it, but the mainstream Superman, the one that we all identify with, they try to keep the teams the same because of the franchise they're trying to build. People are used to that. They don't really like fast changes like that. People need to, if they want something to change, it has to come in slowly.
Yeah, sometimes a fast change is what they need. It can work. Now let me like this guy now, Schwarzenegger or Van Damme. When they appear in a mainstream story, they have to quickly work out why they have that accent. You understand?
They never do.
No, the good news about Schwarzenegger is that he's not playing an established hero, so it's easier to buy that thing. You understand? But in
Guile in Street Fighter was playing an American hero, and he still had Allied Nations voice. They never explained accent.
Sorry, no. When they do explain it, that's bad. When they do explain it, that's bad. But sometimes they explain it. Yes.
Wale, sorry, we kind of need to. Sorry, we are working with. So I'm so sorry. We're working with time, and we kind of need to end this topic. But before I end the topic, the last thing I want to leave the people watching this with is you guys comment in the links below. In light of everything that we've said, what do you think about race switching in comics? And also, to give you an example, what do you guys think about Halle Berry playing Catwoman in Catwoman as an example of race switching? What do you guys think about it? Comment, share, and like. Thanks, you guys.
Extreme example right there.
It's not extreme. It's not extreme. Eartha Kitt was black. She played Catwoman.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
She needs to the actual, the eventual artwork.
No, I mean it's extreme because it's a shit movie, not because of the shit movie.
Okay, wrapping up, guys. Wrapping up. Moving to the next. Okay, Nuru, finish up.
There's also the issue of, at one point you look and say, okay, this is when the person becomes the better known version of the character or the person bearing the mantle. Down the road, like the mention you made about Nick Fury, 10 years from now, those who only know the black Nick Fury be like, what do you mean he's white? Why do you make him white? That kind of thing. People forget that if you check the timeline of Captain Marvel, the first Captain Marvel was a black woman called Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
And that's the first, she was Captain Marvel before you had Carol Danvers. And
she's not the first Captain Marvel.
No, she had the role.
Human.
Yeah.
The point being, the title keeps shifting from point to point to point. But as long as the character, the person, not the title, the person is the same, and I'm cool with it most times.
In line with what Nuru said, for what it's worth, whether you want to agree or not, at some point, Superman was black during the death of Superman. I mean, still, whether I want to argue about that,
he was one of the many black.
So
black.
Sorry. I'm so sorry I'm sorry. That was my bad for triggering you. Let's just move to the next topic.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. We've been talking a lot of smack, abusing each other and discussing and debating like we typically do on the Meltdown. Let us know your thoughts, ask any questions you have, abuse anybody you want to abuse in the comments, and also give us your feedback so we can try to improve this as we do it more and more often.
Don't forget to like and comment on this video and let us know what you think we should discuss. Subscribe! Why did you say subscribe? But you guys take care.
Peace out! Peace out!